I'm not trying to change the world. I want to change the world I touch. It is not an exclusive group, not anymore. It's not a club. We really do care. I'm on record saying writing a check is the least of what I want to be known for. And I said, I love your check, like I said, but what can we do more? They soft circled 60 million during that investment summit, right? And they pitched 3 minutes. Sometimes, in the bubble we live in, it feels like impact is under attack. And certainly last year was tough, without doubt. But the rest of the world, the innovation and policies are moving forward. Yes, we have a budget. Yes, we have a goal for how much we want to grow by, but that's not the main point. The main point is we spread the message, plant the seeds. Even today, we can get more people in.
Welcome to The Diligent Observer, where we help angel investors see what most miss. I'm your host, Andrew, and every week we explore what works, what doesn't, and why through conversations with experienced startup investors and operators. My guest today is Suresh Sundarababu, Executive Director of SWAN Impact Network, a multi-chapter angel group based in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, Texas. In this episode, Suresh walks me through his journey from electrical engineering to leading an impact-focused angel group. And he lays out a really thoughtful vision for evolving the angel investing model. Together, we explore his fast-track experiment to streamline deal flow, his take on why 9 out of 10 startups fail, and the surprising connection that he made in Davos recently that could help shape SWAN's future, including the possibility of a multinational expansion. I hope you enjoy learning from Suresh as much as I did. Suresh, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you, Andrew. Good to be here.
So I have to start with my classic first question, and that is, what are you excited about right now?
So 2026 is year 2 of me leading SWAN Impact Network. So first year was very much a lot of learning, a lot of forming thesis ideas about where we need to go for our mission. And this year, I'm really excited about actually putting few in action. I'll give you an example. Like all other angel networks, we have our own processes we follow. Our members are there for that, but sometimes we miss out on opportunities. So I'm toying with this idea of how do you fast track a company that is not through our normal process. That's one. Another example, again, I'll cut it off after the second example, but one of the things that I've been thinking about is each founder deals with each of the angel networks separately. So I was actually having a conversation in another ecosystem, like-minded individual, a couple of days back, and I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if 2027 January, a company comes to us that we've known for a year and has been hardened the way we want throughout 2026. They're pitching to a collective of us, and we write the whole check. Wouldn't that be cool to have as a goal so that the founder doesn't have to go raise any more funds and they can just keep doing those things? So how far we get in 2026, I do not know, but the excitement is about how do you get the founders to success faster, and trying a few things that will put us through that path is what I'm excited about.
Okay, so I love these topics because I think these are common issues that angel groups face and the founders run into. It brings up the question, though, to me, where do you draw the line between an angel group and a venture capital fund? Because a lot of what you're describing would be what funds would typically be expected to provide. A good VC is going to provide that support. Maybe they fill out more of the round, versus an angel group or an angel investor as an individual, which would typically be a smaller piece of the overall pie and more relational in nature. Tell me, talk through that tension of what differentiates an angel group versus a VC.
I'll set the context with saying I'm still learning, which also means I may not be 100% correct in what I say, and I get to say stupid and ask stupid questions to change things around. So I'll put that context there. I would still say, the founders have to go through the angel networks before they get to VCs. Fortunately or unfortunately, in a lot of cases, unfortunately, because they have to hit about 15, 20 of us before they get anywhere. The difference in my mind, again, with my limited knowledge, the difference is not that all VCs are not like this, but we're more the kinder, gentler version of the next round of investment. And especially at SWAN and with impact networks, we really do care. I'm on record saying writing a check is the least of what I want to be known for. So if we can give the founder the check they need, which is the most basic thing they need, but also along with that, give a collective 10x group effect of time and talent as well. My question is, what are the opportunities there, and why is it not happening? And it all started from, you commonly hear, and I do, 9 out of 10 companies fail. Why? One of the stupid questions I ask is why? And what does failure mean? If you tell me that every company should be a unicorn, sure, 9 out of 10 are probably not going to be. But we're trying to get them to 10 million before the next round happens or next exit happens. So why can't we? So that's the thesis I'm operating on. Clearly, I'm not the first one probably to think that way. Clearly, there are challenges, but like-minded people can get together and change things. And that's the hope. And that's the excitement.
So you talked about fast tracking and what if we could write the whole check? What are some of the, like why doesn't that happen today? I mean, I could sit here and describe to you dozens of groups that are married to their process and that exist to serve their process and not the other way around, which is funny because it should be the other way. You think a process exists to serve the interests of the members in the group. And so when there's a great deal that doesn't fit, I mean, this is just such a common scenario. You're as a network leader, you face this challenge of, okay, do I break the process that I built to look at this interesting opportunity, or pass because it doesn't fit the exact workflow? How do you guys think about that tension at SWAN?
So we haven't changed it yet. We are going to actually, tomorrow is our pitch night, and I'm going to present one as a pilot opportunity to say, hey, what is the pulse of the membership to go through this? And I expect not great results because people are comfortable with what we do, right? What we do. But why hasn't happened before? It's a really good question. I can't put my finger on it other than to say, again, most of these clubs started as a club. A few people retired and wanted to do something. So it revolves around its own timelines and processes, and everybody gets really comfortable with it. Maybe there's a scarcity mentality of if I write a check, it's not your check. From my perspective, I don't care. The founder's success is the most important thing. And the hope that I'm getting is when you talk to a few people, nobody disagrees. So what you need is 2 or 3 people that are like-minded, that have the same passion to go, or stupidity, whichever way you want to go look at it, to say, why not? And we will, if nothing else, we'll learn. Here's why it is so important. It's an aging, old, antiquated system, angel investing is. If we don't, because we are necessary evil right now, it will get disrupted. That's the way the world works. It has happened so far. It's going to get disrupted. Why not disrupt ourselves? Now, a year from now, we should talk and see how it actually went and what did I learn from it, and did I get really disillusioned by it? But I think there's an opportunity, and I really want to go give it a try. I don't expect it to be successful first, but I don't see any big blockers that says, why can't we move down this path?
Okay, so I want to hear more about that. Maybe before we get into your vision for the evolution that's required in the angel space, maybe you could walk me through your journey as an angel investor. I know you've been a part of SWAN for a while, and I love your story because it's it feels like so common, in that you raise your hand once, and then you raise your hand again, and then you raise your hand again, and all of a sudden you're running the thing. So
Right.
walk me through your journey at SWAN.
It started 9 years back when I joined SWAN, so it really started a little bit before. To say that, I would have set the context to say about 13 years back, I left the company I was working for. I came over to my wife and said, I don't want a job. I don't know what that means. And I took 6 months off. And what that meant was I've come a long way as myself, from India first to here. And I wrote a purpose for myself, which is I'm not trying to change the world. I want to change the world I touch. And that led to, how do I live that purpose? And somebody introduced SWAN. And when I went and looked at SWAN, it felt like it can expand the world I touch. Now, I will tell you, when it said angel investor, even though I could be accredited and all that good stuff, right? I felt like an imposter. Angel? Me? What? Because I think the word is a misnomer, in my opinion, because it has this connotation of somebody who's made it, whatever made it means, and can write big checks. It's not really the case every single time. So I had, for the longest time, I was there for the impact. I joined 9 years back. But for the longest time, I didn't think I'm the one writing checks and supporting these companies. And what I did was I just got involved because my purpose was so strong. I could feel, you could feel it when the companies that come to us are all impact based, and certainly companies speak to you personally for some type of impact that you care about, and then you just get involved in it. And like you said, I raised my hand for the first leading a deal memo.
The biggest mistake you could have made. He said, "Sign me up," and they said, "What else? What else can we have you do to help us?"
Go let it, volunteered, and then I loved it. I love intellectual conversations. I've always been around disruption, always around innovation. I led startups. It was natural with a business mind. And then, of course, started writing a little bit of checks. Found that even within impact spaces, I mean, part of our mission is to support underserved founders. So I could see, even with those who are like-minded, those got lesser support. So I gravitated towards leading more of those deal memos. So I was very active. So then they said, "Hey, you should be on the board." So this was about 2.5 years back or so. I'm like, makes sense. What I did not know was Bob Bridge, the founder at that time, had given the board 2 years to retire. I think a year and a half later, they tapped me. And for a while, I was like, I always told my wife for 5-6 years, I just want to do good, which probably meant not corporate. And then when they tapped me, I had to think for a little bit, and a few people had to slap my head to go, "This is the organization for your purpose," which then became very evident once I took it over. So it's an unusual journey because my background is not investment. I have a master's in electrical engineering and different business leadership roles. You will not think of me as the most ideal fit. But for SWAN, because of the purpose, it is very much an ideal fit for me, and vice versa. And after the last year, I can tell you that is true because now we have some proof of that.
Okay, so you've been a part of the group for about 9 years, the last 2 in a board capacity, and then the last year or so in this executive director role, and you're now in your second year. So you've got a pretty thoughtful vision around what's broken in the angel ecosystem and some of the changes that are necessary for angel investors of today and tomorrow to be effective. I'd love if you could walk me through this framework and help me understand what it means.
I will tell you in this frame, right? The first thing that I had to do as I was learning was to form a few thesis points. And there were 3, and 2 are founder related, so from the outcome perspective, and 1 was network related. The founder related, the first one was, again, I mentioned it a little bit. Angel networks are all rotate in their own little world, have our own little processes, slow, old, antiquated, and not really set up to help the founders, fundamentally. None of us write, even in good times, big enough checks for them to complete a round. Very rarely do we do. And they have to hit all of us before they get anywhere. So that's first specific thing that needs to change. And the way I look at it is, what does 2030 SWAN look like, and how do we take towards that? And I'll come back to that in a minute and give you some of my thoughts. Second is, what I've seen founders fail at is they're good at a couple of things. They're not good at a lot of things. Well, even if they get the money, then the hiring they do, which could be family and friends, something changes, or the strategy change that happens. The founder of a startup is the loneliest position, period, because they have to pretend and they cannot be themselves with anybody. So the support system they have is either there are a lot more mistakes that happen they can't afford to, or they don't have it, so they fail, not because of the idea, not because of the tenacity, because of that. So, and the VCs, like you said, VCs do that. They have a support system that comes in and says, "Here's the formula." And I'm not talking about that. But what about if you have an ecosystem of partners? So just by coming to SWAN, whether you get funded or not, you have an ecosystem of partners that understand startups and what they can afford, willing to grow with them and grow their business with them, and then can help the founders not make those mistakes. What does that look like? So that's the second thing that has to change. And the third thing is, we talked a little bit about this, angels, right? Who are angels? The next generation, the younger generation, want to have impact a lot more. I hear this when I talk to family offices, that the The G2s are asking more and more about impact investments, and they don't know we exist and we don't know they exist. So how do we expand this? We already democratized investment by saying you can write as low as 5,000. We'll pull it together and invest. So there's a lot more that can afford it that actually care about it versus just making money. So how do we change that paradigm? So there are plenty of process-related things that needs to change, like we talked about, like the slowness of it. How do we be more nimble? A lot of it is voluntary. Budgets are very small. But fundamentally, I look at changes that need to happen as how does it serve the mission much faster? So I've told you our mission is equal impact and returns equally. And without a doubt, in 10 years, we've impacted, we have some returns, but both are small I and small r. I'm not a founder, by the way. Founders are amazing, intelligent people, a little bit crazy to do what they do. But I scale businesses. That's what I do. So my mentality is about, we can continue plugging along with small I and small r. But to me, that does not accomplish the mission. So to me, I go back to those three. I think it started as a thesis. Throughout last year, nothing has changed my mind on that is not main thing to figure out how to do to impact the mission. And if we can successfully pivot towards that in the next 5 years, we'll stay relevant and get to where we need to get to.
So I want to double click more. I'd love to talk about all 3 points, but this third one in particular around the evolving face of like who is an investor, I think it's a really interesting point. My experience has been that most investors wouldn't call themselves angel investors. They just call themselves investors. And they don't actually gravitate towards the word angel. In fact, some kind of move away from it. And so I like I've seen a lot of positive alignment with your concept that the word angel investor is a misnomer. So I think most of us just think of ourselves as investors. To say more about this evolution of the face of tomorrow's angel investor that you're seeing, this appetite from the younger generation to get involved at an earlier age to start making this impact. Like, just say more about what that third bullet point means to you.
I'll start with the learnings, right? So the thing that I consistently heard about SWAN when we invite guests is like, wow, that your group doesn't look like an investment. I'm like, okay, it looks like an angel group. What do you mean? There's a lot more diversity, a lot more women. I've heard, literally women guests have come and said, I didn't expect that many women. Which, by the way, we take for granted. Bob Bridge, when he founded it, was very particular about how to build it. But it was very eye-opening to go, okay, we're different. And then that is our strength, which then led to, then I started mingling with a lot of different groups, and you could tell that diversity is not there. So we have two member groups. One is the angels, who can write checks, so they can give time, talent, and treasure. The second group is called associates, who can give time and talent but can't write checks yet, or want to learn before they write check. So I literally right now have members from 20. I have a freshman in college as an associate to 75 plus, 77 plus, right? So going back to your question, within that context of learning, right? So why can't we have a continuum from 20 to 80 plus, where you could start with, it's not just about writing a check. They can give their time and talent and learn. So now you're seeding your tomorrow's angels. And then angels, you start looking at it going, and the way we are growing right now is really through network. I know 5 people, you know 5 people. They all care about something. Hey, let's get together and talk about what we're doing. And that is how we're growing. And that space can expand as well. And then one of the things that we start seeing and we hear is this aging out of angels, right? When they get to a certain age. And we don't like that term aging out, because there's still legacy giving to be had. So there's so many ways they can continue making an impact even after they're not here. So the only reason I believe that somebody at 20 don't think of angel investing is they don't know that it is something they need to think about. So they come in and contribute and start going, okay, now we have a pipeline. Now, what do we do about today? So then we go and we're in places, we're everywhere, right? That's why SWAN has been a well-kept secret. Now wherever we are, we're trying to go and talk about, we're not recruiting. We're just saying, here's who we are. And if you care about it, let's talk. And what we see is very much a lot more of them going, yes, we care. I did not know this was an option. I did not know I could invest this low and be part of it and be accredited and do these things. So I think it's education of it. And hopefully these are the type of things that we talk about that gets the message out, right? But yes, we have a budget. Yes, we have a goal for how much we want to grow by, but that's not the main point. The main point is we spread the message, plant the seeds. Even today, we can get more people in. And in the last year, for sure, the growth has been what I would call more couples, more diverse, younger group. There's been some older group as well. So the associate growth has been that way. The angel growth has been that way. And so I come back to, we just need to get the message. I mean, all of us, by the way, this is not just about impact investment, because I don't care. So we have a specific thesis. We only see a subset of the startups, but every startup that goes to us go to every angel group, right? And every angel group, if they can just get more people interested in their thesis, the founder gets to success. So it's just about getting the message out to say, it is not an exclusive group, not anymore. It's not a club. Everybody and anybody at a set, as long as the IRS is met, can be. And you don't have to invest immediately. That's what I tell people. Come get involved, absorb, give your time and talent, and then you learn, and you will do it yourself. I'll add one more point. I always tell people we have a yearly donation we have for the angels. That's about it. I don't set the number of hours you need to contribute or the amount of check you need to write. Because my point is, you are with us because you care. Who the heck am I to tell you how much you need to care by? You eventually, if you really do care, you will do the right thing for you. So that's the evangelization of the message. It's not a club. You are part of it. Here are the basic minimum rules. But even if you can't meet the rules, come and give time and talent. And eventually you may be.
Suresh, this is one of my favorite things about the angel space is that every angel group has some unique, special reason to gather. And it's never half-hearted. Like nobody in that room is just casually hanging out. Like there's always such intentionality, and I maybe use the word passion thoughtfully, but I feel like it's accurate, right? This is often something that these folks are doing in their free time because it's exciting to them. And
right.
It's one of my favorite things about this space more widely is that reason is so meaningful for each group. And hearing SWAN impact and just the centrality of that mission is super exciting to me.
Let me add, you reminded me, I need to add, which will be not right of me not to add, because the good thing about the way angel groups work is there is a social aspect to it, right? They do like being together with those group of people. I think most of the angel groups do, like you just talked about, for a reason, whatever the reasons are. So we can't lose that. And I don't think we need to, at least so far the way we've grown, it doesn't feel like we lost it. But that's an important point to make. Like it's not all bad. I don't want it to come across as angel groups are bad. It's not. It's necessary, and there's a lot of work that is happening, a lot of effort, work of passion that goes in, because none of us are doing it operationally for the money. So I don't want to come across as everything is bad. But when the game changes, scaling changes the game. When the game changes, then you need to look at, other than the core, which you keep, you break up everything and try to be better.
So is this fast track experiment that you referenced sort of a first step at testing? How do we be more nimble? How do we be more responsive to kind of the modern environment, to that first point that you mentioned?
It's the first step so that's a direct goal. It's coming from one of the theses is, hey, it should come from a trusted partner who have same thesis, or a member who is invested in and known them for a while. So the immediate goal is, can we introduce a process where we can invest in companies that we normally would not have seen because of our way we are. The secondary goal is, how much are our members thinking about different than being the same, and also seeding the fact, hey, we need to be different, right? So I look at it at two different goals. One goal is, yes, it'll be great, and it may be completely everybody go, nah, man, we like our process. We like our own due diligence, and nothing may happen with that one. But I've seeded it.
Hmm.
Next time, but then I can ask the question, beyond the process, what else would you like to see? So the next time around, I'm talking to Trusted Network, I know, okay, that can be. So there's not the fact that there's going to be a slide on it tomorrow is a success for tomorrow. But that seeds both the process agility and also the group agility to think differently than what we always done.
I love it. Well, we'll certainly have to check back in a year from now and
Now,
hear
yes.
how it's going.
Yes.
I also wanted to follow up on the second point that you mentioned, which was that angel groups aren't well set up to like help founders be successful. That founders lack the resources to be successful, and angel groups often aren't able to fill in those gaps. I feel like that's an observation that I would totally agree with. Most angel groups are structurally designed to be very bare bones and offer limited resources. You know, they're aggregating investors and founders that might be a good fit for one another, but beyond the basic operations to fulfill that goal, there's very limited support function. Say more about how you envision the ecosystem evolving and the future of angel investing changing beyond that. Do you see that change happening at the angel group level, or is this more of a structural support for investors to be able to get involved personally to support founders?
So I'll start with the thesis, and I'll give you an example of the first step. The thesis is, let's say the founders are usually good at product, right? Technology. And sometimes they're good at business and selling, sometimes they're not. But if you take anything else, strategy, customer support, HR, et cetera, so legal, they're not good at. And they muddle through it through friends and family or somewhere somebody said it. So why can't we find organizations? This is where it started. Why can't we find organizations that do help those startups? Because the biggest problem that they don't go to these organizations is I can't afford them. So can we find a group or network that says, I understand you as a startup and I'm set up to help you as a startup and I'm going to grow with you. In the meantime, by the way, they also, because of their partner, they can sponsor us as well. So that way it's a win-win-win because then we can scale a little bit too. So how would that look like was the thesis. The reason it started was we've had, I won't name names, but we had a legal firm that is a partner of us and generously written us a check over the last 5, 6, 7 years. So when I first took over, I had a conversation to say, hey, we love the check, thank you. But what do you get out of it? Nothing really. They love being part of it. These are the companies, they are clean tech specifically and life sciences specifically startups. These are the type of companies we look at, so we kind of get a feel for it. And I said, I love your check, like I said, but what can we do more? So I have 50 to 70 companies that come through us every quarter. We only do 2 to 3, 2 to 4 to pitch night. We only on average fund 2. There's another 50, 60 that don't get help. How can we? So with this group, we said, okay, they're like, look, I'm happy to give 30-minute free time. Ask the lawyer any question you want to anybody. And if the companies go through next levels portfolio, we'll up the time. So as an example, there's a guy in San Antonio in a ranch with a cool idea about wind turbines. He applied to us way early at a concept stage. But I tell the founders if they want to take me up, as long as they can get on my schedule, time to help them think through things. And we meet monthly. And one of the months he was talking about legal structure, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, hey, we have a partner, no obligation, talk to him. And then I just had a call 2 days back. This is now months later. And he was talking about how he was thinking about adding on a partner. They're an LLC. And the law firm person talked them out of it because, look, you're too early to do it. You can do it, but you're going to spend the same amount of money when you convert to C Corp. And why would you want to do that? So to me, in that example is one, there was a lot of free time first. Clearly that turned into some kind of business for the partner. Clearly saved money for the founder and time for the founder. And that gives me the basis to say the thesis can happen. And by the way, I found plenty of HR firms that are about early stage startups, accounting firms that are about early stage startups, fractional CMOs, CFOs, executive coaches. Now, the problem is to bring them all together. I still haven't done that part, but they're there. And I have at least one success story of a firm that has been giving us checks and would have happily given us just checks, by the way, and we would have happily taken it. But I don't want, my mission is not for our budget to grow. Our mission is exactly what I just told you before. If that doesn't happen, impact is and return is just a dream. So this, say if you fast forward, say a couple of years, ideal case is this particular company grows to a stage where they are fundable by the angel groups. We now know 2 or 3 groups. They're structured the right way because of partnerships, and we fund them, and they will be successful. That'll be, why not, right? Why can't we? So that's the second point that I made about ecosystem. I'll give you one more example. This I've seen particularly again and again. I have a couple of friends who are executive coaches. So they, because of the relationship, they said, we'll give you free time with your founders. We've done it with about 2 founders, I'm sorry. Founders were like ecstatic. And the executive coaches had a lot of fulfillment out of it too. Now I need to figure out how to make that a business proposition for them and how to expand it. But the need is very clearly established. And there are ecosystem partners that have this as the business model. Now, how do you bring it all together? Shouldn't be that hard, but how do you bring it all together is the work in progress.
So I think this is a fascinating observation that I would posit holds true across just about every angel group. And that is that angel groups represent this really unique kind of coalescing of like raw resources that are all super valuable in isolation. But if you stick them together in this pot of an angel group, like there's just such rich relational connection that's uniquely focused on this investing moment. And it feels to me like some of the lowest hanging fruit to many angel groups is simply to be thoughtful and systematic about organizing and stitching together those raw resources. It's like, you're standing there and there's gold laying around you and you just have to pick it up and put it in a format that's more useful and able to be processed by the rest of the community. That's sort of this image that I have as you're talking, just like all these great resources sitting there, just waiting to be smushed together and captured in a usable format.
And the only reason I believe it's not been done is, again, it's not a common thing. In disruption, which is what I've been part of, it's always the common thing that needs to be disrupted because it is the way it has always been, is the reason why it doesn't change. And then you get to, and you just need somebody stupidly naive enough to go, I don't accept that. I'm going to do something about it. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but you progress it further, right?
Yeah, it seems like these relational networks are some of the competitive moat or the special sauce, right, for each community is that convalescence of a unique blend of people around that thesis. Like that is in and of itself, just by the nature of the convening activity, super valuable and distinctive and hard to replicate, all the things that make something defensible and unique. It's fascinating. Okay, so I have to ask, because it seems to be aggressively positioning SWAN in front of this younger, more intentional investor community. And one of the ways that I see you doing that is I think you just got back from a trip to Switzerland. So I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about that, what you saw, why you guys sponsored that. I saw your logo up next to Andreessen and other cool partners, so it was fun to see. Tell me about the trip to Davos.
Yes, surreal for sure. Like we're a small network out of here, and Davos would not have been even in the map. So to give a little bit of background about it, it was an investment summit organized by a group out of London, which brings family offices and wealth funds together and puts on a summit, and including brings about 10 to 12 impact startups to pitch to raise money. And they had found me and asked me if I want to be a judge on the panel. And that's what brought me there. So we didn't sponsor the event; we were invited to the event. So just to be
even better,
we are minuscule budget wise to sponsor something in World Economic Forum. We're not on the main stage. Let me also put that the World Congress is its own thing, and there's a whole bunch of events that happen around it. This is one of those, and Davos was eye-opening in the sense there's so many ideas to make the world better running around, with so much money running around and trying to figure out how both of them can be matched. And every country that you can think of, every organization. So India House, US House, Climate Hub, a female quotient, anywhere NVIDIA. So you can think of anything, they're all there. And it's truly a unique, I found it, I was definitely a rookie, right? There's a lot of things that I would do differently, but for me, the amount of innovation, energy, and impact energy, and people that can make it happen, we're all there. I'll give you a couple of pointers and that I took. One is sometimes, in the bubble we live in, it feels like impact is under attack. And certainly last year was tough, without doubt. But the rest of the world, the innovation and policies are moving forward uh, definitely faster, it feels like. There was Leonardo, the toll companies, I believe, was from outside the US, the ones that pitched successful. They're raising the next rounds. So to me, it feels like, again, I go back to what are the opportunities we're missing outside of US and how can we be beyond this little bubble? And second is, gives you hope that, the impact innovation has been set out. It's not going backwards. I always believe that even in tough times, a few of us need to kind of double down and keep moving. But it's not going backwards. And there's a lot of money. That toll companies pitched, and the results that I heard was they soft circled 60 million during that investment summit, right? And they pitched 3 minutes. By the way, soft circle still means you have to go through the due diligence and get the money and everything else. But even if you only get 20, they pitched each company pitched 3 minutes. So my resolve out of that was, so my bubble was expanding from just Austin, few of my Austin, Dallas, Houston, and a few of the states that we are in, to what does bigger ecosystem look like the worldwide, right? I don't know where that's going to go. It's just 2 weeks in, and we are very small. But the eye-opening effect was, if you bring the right groups of people together, things will happen.
I mean, this is the power of convening, right? Getting people that care about a topic in the room together. It's just magic. Magic happens. It's a simple thing. I love this.
Yeah.
What's like one or two of the ideas you're going to explore with SWAN that came out of that? Like, continue on this train for me.
Yeah. So the one I didn't even know that was going to happen, the idea that came out of it was SWAN Europe, right? Again, I do not know where it's going to go. I do not know if SWAN Europe is going to ever happen, but it always starts with a thought, right? It's that thought. It may not be an organization by itself. It may be partnering with somebody, but just like the fast track process here, what are the opportunities we're missing out there, and how do we do it? The only reason we haven't done it, and we only do US and Canada, is that's the only thing we've figured out legally and tax structure wise, how to do it. And we are small in that sense, right? So I'll just put that thought. A year from now, we'll pick that up again. So what is SWAN Europe? I didn't even think that was a thought that's going to come out of that. One of my main reasons for saying yes, other than the fact it's Davos and you got to be here, you got to be there when invited, is this is about family offices coming together, and I've been curious about family offices. 15 months back, I didn't know what a family office was. I'll be honest. But one of the things I learned meeting with them is they have mentioned consistently the next generation, the G2s as they call them, are consistently asking them about how is our investment going towards impact. And that family office structure has not been traditionally set up to do that. So one of the family offices up in Dallas, we were talking to them, and he said, I am kind of trying to figure that out. And we only have a small money set aside for impact investment. It's only 15 million a year, right? So two things. One, it's becoming more relevant. Second, it is enormous money. Actually, three things. Third, they don't have a good way of figuring out which ones they are, and that's the business we're in. So to me, it went back to the first point I made about building an ecosystem, giving 10x the effect for the founders. So my curiosity was, what does that look like worldwide? And hopefully, and as in any event, the few connections you make is probably where the biggest benefit of it is. And I think I made a couple of connections that I want to explore to see. So 2027, January, if I can have a family office co-investing with us in a deal, they can probably write the whole check, right? The goal that we had, right? So how does that look? And then another big goal is, again, what does SWAN Europe look like? It's a thought, but I always, throughout my life, you start with a thought, a seed, and then you let it, you culture it, you drive it, but you let it go where it can go, and things just open up when you start that way. So those would be my two main focus points out of that, beyond the fact that the halo effect of being in Davos has been amazing for Swan, even though we were nowhere close to the main stage. But yes.
That's incredible. Well, I love this. And I think it also speaks to the value of just showing up. Like every angel group has some kind of affinity or affiliation or thing that they have a flag in the sand focused on. And the simple act of being present, having your name on the banner at the event, right, associating with the kinds of people and the kinds of companies that are active in your space. Like, I just think that's so important. And, for anybody listening, like the value of just showing up, and who knows who you meet, has so much of a potential upside impact,
Yeah.
Compared to the cost.
Yeah.
So I love that. Suresh, any final thoughts for me or for our listeners, takeaways that you'd leave on the subject of impact investing, and as you settle into your role here at SWAN and think about the future of the angel investing world?
I'll probably say a couple of things. One is, nobody in their logical mind will invest in a startup, early stage startup. It's very much a hard decision, regardless of whether it's impact or not. So the community that actually exists to do it, whether you're doing it for impact or just for return, is an amazing community, by the way. So let's state that. And I think that, and it proves out, the returns prove out, lots of failures, lots of resilience you need. So to that community, what I would like to say is, how much more effective can it be if we do it together versus it's mine or yours? And I don't think they think that way, by the way. I don't think any organization goes, I'm going to invest, it's mine kept growing, so you need to be part of me. I don't think most of them that way. But I don't think it's a conscious thought that we should do it together versus alone, because it's not a competition. The founders getting to success is not a competition whether you did or I did. So that's one thought, is let's open up to how can we do it together? And it only takes a few of us. If a few of us get together and make it successful, everybody else will follow. The second is, specifically for SWAN, those who are listening, I'll go back to 2 points. If you care about more than just making money, and making money is important for us too, by the way, equally, but more than just that. And if you have time, talent, and treasure, or just time and talent to give, check us out. We're at a minimum, we're a good group of people with good dinner every 3 months. But check us out. So those will be the two things I'll tell your viewers.
Fantastic. Well, Suresh, thank you for the time today. It was a pleasure to learn about you, your story, and what's happening at SWAN. We will certainly make a point to check in a year or so from now and hear how this set of bets is going.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Andrew.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Diligent Observer. I'm your host, Andrew, and if you're an angel investor looking for essential angel intel in 5 minutes every week, I think you'd enjoy my newsletter. I send my best stuff, interesting deals, and more straight to your inbox so you never miss a thing. Subscribe today at thediligentobserver.com.